involved with film and so forth.
Yes.
He's going to display some of the work, right? I mean,
Yeah.
some of the items you have. And it
He's a
was
good
so
kid.
good to see the other night at that showing of
Oh, it was
Capture.
fun.
Wasn't it a
Yeah,
wonderful,
it was beautiful.
a great presentation? Really
The
good.
people, it just was very organic. And
It
very
was indeed, and so
old
and I
school.
loved talking to you afterward in your place, and and welcome very very much to Conversations. Pleasure to welcome to the program Billy Leroy, and he's the proprietor of a very interesting place that everybody down in the Lower East Side would be very familiar with, an iconic place called Billy's Antiques and Props, as I
Correct,
understand. And we're going to demonstrate a couple of those that he has brought along with him to the program. But he's got a very interesting story to tell, and we're going to be talking with him about the Lower East Side and his life's venture. And Billy, welcome very, very much to
Thank
our
you.
conversation.
Yes, it's an honor to be here.
It's my pleasure to welcome you, and I wonder maybe you could share your background, born and raised as a way to wade in, and
Yeah.
then we're going to talk some about the human condition, gentrification, some of the trends in the world, and
Yes.
so forth. But share your own background, if you go,
Well, I came from, my mother was American, my father was French,
please.
and they met in Lille, and my mother had a Fulbright scholarship in France,
Okay.
and they met, and I was born in France, and then they got divorced very early on, and I moved to New York with my mom, and we lived at Gramercy Park.
She had a Fulbright.
Yes, she had a
That's a
Fulbright.
very honorific thing to get. That's a very good
Yeah.
thing. She was intellectually inclined.
Yes,
And your dad also?
yes.
Uh-huh. What was he involved with?
He was in advertising, and it
In-
was the 60s at the heyday of the advertising
the
world.
60s. I remember them fondly. Do
Yes.
you?
Yeah, of course.
There was a lot of trauma.
Yes,
Vietnam,
yes.
1968, 1970, there was a whole lot Bobby Dylan told her blowing
Oh,
in the
yeah.
wind. And it was a time of great
Yeah,
transformation.
I remember Kennedy's assassination. I mean, I lived on Gramercy Park with my mom, and I remember the
Yeah.
principal running up to my mother and saying the president's been shot. And
Yeah. I think everybody
that's clear in my
remembers
memory.
that. I was at the Southern Illinois University campus, Southern Illinois teaching, and that's when everybody remembers that. It was a terrible time.
Yeah.
And then you had all that stuff going on. But I think it was a time of great transformation, and there was a lot. There was the Woodstock Festival.
Yeah,
and
1969, I believe.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
it was August 15.
Right.
I was there.
Were you really?
Oh yeah, we were there,
That's
and on the
great.
cover of the, I've said it to other people. We were from I was teaching at New Paltz. That was the
Oh, okay.
college up there near. It's a sister community
Sure.
to Woodstock. And Bob Dylan, God bless him, he was
he's
such
great.
a poet.
Yeah, he's
I mean,
really-
he was something else, and really reading the times. But the people from New Paltz was sister community to Woodstock,
Right.
along with Rosendale and that. And so we went. We had a commune then. There were communes, and we went to that. A whole bunch of us, and then we had a big balloon,
Oh,
an
wow.
8-foot weather balloon,
And you
and
went
we
up.
filled it with helium, and we had it tethered to the ground so the people from Woodstock would know where to gather.
I see.
And that balloon is on the cover, the 33 and RPM cover of the music from the Woodstock Festival,
Wow.
among 500,000 people, so they would
great.
know where to go. Yeah. It
So-
was, but the point being really, it was an iconic
right.
moment in the evolution of human affairs.
And then we moved to the Upper East Side.
Okay.
And my mother didn't like the way I was acting, so she sent me away to school in Switzerland. And I went to school in Switzerland for 2
Military
years.
school, maybe?
Well, it seemed like it. I mean, the Swiss are pretty tough. But
Yeah.
it was great memories. The Alps is amazing. And then I came back and I went to prep schools in Connecticut and Massachusetts.
Okay. And what didn't you like about the way you were acting? Just
Well, it was I was, being a kid in New York City, I had my bike stolen twice.
That's
And
a
I started to
trauma.
get very street-like
Uh-huh.
because as a young boy, you have to either survive or not survive. And, I went to PS6, which is on the Upper East Side, and we were like prey to
Uh-huh.
the uptown kids that would come down and,
Uh-huh.
take our bikes. And then you just either had to get tough or fold or
And-
just give in.
And she didn't like. Were you getting tough?
Yeah,
You're
it was-
rather large.
Well, I was a kid then. I was 10
Oh,
years
well,
old.
yes.
Yeah, I wasn't. And but I loved sports.
Okay.
I played college football in college.
You did, yeah.
Yes,
Okay, that's
Northeastern University,
good. What position?
wide receiver.
Wide receiver.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay,
So
right.
that was good.
Mhm.
But she was a copywriter for an advertising agency, and then
Okay.
she became a writer, and she's written several books.
Oh, really?
She's
yeah.
deceased now, but she
Yeah,
wrote
sorry. Yeah, no, but fiction, nonfiction. What was she?
fiction,
Okay.
mostly women's rights things.
Oh, she was into that. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that was very much in the wind in
Yeah,
the 1970s.
Yeah, she was good friends with Betty Friedan, and she was a woman's liber.
Oh, well, okay.
Which has made me kind of not really a woman's liber.
Well, okay, but there was a time of major trade, and things changed. The times change, and I know we've got you down as a gatekeeper for Ye Old Bowery, and you're talking about that part of the Lower East Side that had such charm when Allen Ginsberg and all of this that was a center of such creative output, and has been for a long time. And there's big changes going on down there now where you're located. Yeah. Now we're jumping a little ahead, but
well, that's all right.
Yeah.
When I was starting off in the antique business, I would go down to the Lower East Side and the Bowery, look for great little items that I could find.
Go to flea markets.
Yeah, flea markets, but also the old shops, you know, the old Jewish shops. You could find deals, and it was adventurous because you didn't wear flip flops.
Yeah.
And you wore boots and a leather jacket, because I'll tell you, it was really dangerous down there. But the deals were down there, so a lot of us antique dealers would go down there to find the deals.
Yeah, we just got it in that you are antiques and props, and you got a shop down there at Houston and Bowery, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Billy's Antiques and Props.
Yeah, it's a great place. I was there the other night, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, right.
We're the last holdout of the old Bowery. That's the way I look at it.
So I heard you say you went to university. You played at university. You went to college and so forth, and you got through the Swiss school. Okay.
Yes, I was.
was that a heavy duty regime of discipline or what?
Yes. Well, in Switzerland they would. It was corporal punishment.
Ye gods, yeah.
You know, it was 1970, and in America it was unheard of to hit kids.
Yeah, we had Benjamin Spock. Yeah. It was very permissive.
Really?
Oh, sure. Everybody read Benjamin Spock, and they'd let the children be themselves.
Yeah. And in Switzerland, it was completely the opposite. I
really?
mean, you had to really stay in line. But that made it that much more exciting. So if you did little naughty little things, it was more exciting. Because you knew if you got caught, you'd pay a high price.
Would you? In England, they had a thing they called caning. They would cane you. Or they would hit you with a ruler?
Yeah, no. What they do, it was called...
Was it physical? Did they lay their hands on you?
It was called a secouer in French.
What does that mean?
To shake.
Shake.
They grab you by the hair, and they... and it was horrible experience.
Yeah. It's like Dickens, you know?
Yeah,
or
terrible.
Like... you know, and that kind of thing. Yeah, I'm very much...
Quite gothic, yeah.
Yeah, and you... But is that what straightened you all out and everything? So the rest of your life you were very on the straight and narrow?
Oh, no.
I'm making a joke, Billy.
No, I know you were.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you know, I used to play touch football with John Kennedy on the Upper East Side.
Really?
In the park. Oh, yeah, he lived right around... I lived on 87th Street.
87th from Gramercy, right?
Well, from Gramercy was
when you were a youngster.
Young kid.
Yeah, right.
Then to the 87th Street between Park and Madison, and John lived on 5th Avenue between 85th and 86th, and he was our age, and he'd be taken to the park, and we'd always play touch football and stuff in the park, and that's how I got to know him.
Yeah, so that's where you were drug up, in a sense, as they say, or raised on the Upper East Side.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
But I was the middle-class kid on the Upper East Side. I wasn't like most of the kids that I grew up with were very rich because their parents did very well. I was kind of my single mom. Yeah. And I was a upper middle class kid.
Well, that's not a bad place to be and everything.
No, it was
like
good.
that.
It was a good experience.
But were you into hijinks and that sort of thing, or what they call acting out, or humor, appearance? You have also actor. You were an actor. Were you someone who demonstrated, were you political, some of these things in that time when you were growing up?
Well, I felt my affinity towards the African American as a kid at that time.
Good
because
for you,
it was the Martin Luther King had been assassinated. And I was into football.
Okay.
And obviously, you know, being a football player, African American kids are into it too, and it was all about how fast he could run, and if you could catch the ball. And that was my affinity with them. I mean, in terms of like, you know, just that whole time period was so tumultuous, and I really felt for them at the time because it was, you know, Wallace, it was that big thing, George Wallace being assassinated and all the racist things that he would say.
He got a large percentage of the votes in that 68,
So, in that terms, the civil rights movement had a big effect on me.
It was having a big effect upon this country particularly, because this country had that Jim Crow stuff going on in the South, and all of that, and you had Malcolm, and you had all that kind, and then there was that Vietnam thing.
Well,
were you involved in that, the protest, or?
No, because I was too young. I was maybe 10 or 12 years old.
Okay, right.
But I remember seeing soldiers coming back, and they'd wear their uniforms, and they didn't get a lot of like fanfare from the people.
No, it was running.
Us as kids would go running, and we saw a Green Beret once right on Park Avenue, and said, "Wow, a Green Beret!" We ran up to him and asked him questions and stuff. And
you were too young to be involved in a possibility of being drafted into the military.
Oh yeah, no, it was.
See, that was there at that time.
Absolutely.
So people 18, 19, they were going to be called and have to go over and kill people across the world, and it was a tremendous thing.
But all the
shaking up the society.
The movies, like my mother took me to Easy Rider when I was 9 years old,
and Nicholson, right?
Yeah. And that she thought it was going to be kind of a fun motorcycle movie, and I think that movie changed my life forever.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's an iconic movie.
Yeah, it's iconic, and it got me into motorcycles.
Yeah.
And Harley Davidsons and the open road, and just being free.
Yeah.
And that was kind of embedded into my psyche at a young age.
Born to be free.
No, Born to be Wild.
Be wild, that's right. Sorry.
Born Free.
Thanks. Born Free is about a lion. Anyway, you can get all these things mixed up and everything.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You've been doing that. Now you've got your shop downtown. And what did you do? What you did football in college. Where'd you go to college, and what did you study, or what were you into?
Well, it started off as I was a wide receiver. I played football.
Yeah, but I mean in the academic.
Oh,
what did you
okay,
do?
yeah. Academic was business school.
Okay.
And I didn't like that. So I convinced my mother. I said, "Mom, I want to become an artist."
What school were you at?
Northeastern University.
Northeastern.
At the time. It's in Boston.
Oh, it's in Boston. That's
Northwestern.
Right. That's
Northeastern.
right. Yeah.
So I went to that, and then I convinced my mom I wanted to be an artist. So I went to art school in Boston.
Okay.
And that's where my affinity for antiques and learning about art and fine things. It's due to art school. Doing hours and hours of life drawing.
Yeah.
You really look at stuff and you realize what quality is and what it isn't.
I think it's a good sense of design.
Yeah,
and
it's just colors. I mean, I can walk into a flea market now, and you could put 10 paintings in front of me, and I'll nail the good one very quickly.
That's
I'll pick it out very quickly.
Yeah, that's very good. That's an artistic sensibility, and it's not given enough credence. You could call it the works of civilization. In general, civilization and the works of civilization are not giving the attention or support that they ought to be throughout much of history and continues.
Yes.
The arts are not thought of. They thought of as fluff compared to some new technological something. Yeah, right.
And so then I graduated from art school, and our headmaster said 95%. This is when I graduated. His speech was 95% of you will not be in the art field within 3 years.
Because it's
good
so
luck.
Discouraged.
Yeah, good luck, so long.
Yeah.
So but I started off in the antiques, and I actually had a 4-year stint at Gray Advertising because I thought maybe I could use my art skills as a junior art director. And that didn't. What happened was I bought a painting for $200 and sold it for $6,000 while I was working at the advertising agency.
Right.
And
that was half on the side.
Yeah, that was half my salary for a year.
Yeah, that's pretty.
So I was like, wow. So I handed in my paper saying I quit. They said, okay, goodbye. And then I started hustling antiques 1984.
84. Did you locate downtown right away? Or
no. The store opened in 86, but I'm the second owner. The first owner opened the store, and he created this crazy tent downtown when the Bowery was the old Bowery.
Is that the fellow who's from Detroit?
Yes. His name was Rob Fennick.
Yeah, that's where I'm from, Detroit.
Yeah.
So that caught my attention,
He was a forward-thinking antique dealer, and he just opened up this great store and made it great.
It's become a legendary place now. Everybody knows Billy's.
Really, because
I mean, you must be as well known as anybody else on the Lower East Side with Billy's. What do you call it? Billy's Antiques and Props.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, in my own mind, I'm just a regular guy selling stuff, but I've had a lot of press in the last year.
Yeah.
And I promote the store.
Well,
I really think it's important because now because of the gentrification
that's
around the Lower East
now,
Side, the store is the holdout. It really is the holdout. I had a full page in the New York Times, and they called it the holdout of of the
Ye Old Bowery.
Yeah, the Ye Old Bowery.
Yeah, the old days of when the art scene was there. We had Clayton on, Clayton Patterson, dear friend of both of us, and like
a great artist.
A great artist, archivist extraordinaire, and he's got this great movie captured. I guess we're going to show a little piece of or something. But also, he's known to everybody in the Lower East Side because he and Elsa are just fixtures down there. Well, and he laments the passing of the art scene. And said it's gone now, and it's all just in the hands of the yuppies and the gentrification, and the rents are out of sight. I mean, and it's a shadow of what it was in terms of creative, an artistic center of creativity. You feel the same? Or?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
it's a shame.
What Clayton has documented an entire society on the Lower East Side that has vanished.
I'm sorry to hear that it has vanished, or at least that artistic
I mean, it's just
quality that was characteristic of that part of the city. Where has it all gone to?
Well, that's a big question. I mean,
where does the
I think it's gone to Berlin.
Berlin, it's going out of the country even, you say.
What was East Berlin? I think it's going out of the country. Iceland.
Iceland is emerging, is it really?
Emerging as artists coming out of there. And New York, it's becoming one giant mall town. So the suburbs, gentrification, suburbanization of Manhattan.
That's
depressing.
It's still okay. It's still an interesting town, and
I
still
got
a
love
lot.
I'm never going to leave it.
I mean, I love New York.
I'll fight all the way.
Yeah,
oh God, I love New York. Yeah. I like old New York. You know, I just love it. No, we just. Maybe it'll change again, you know. I think economic times has a lot to do about the vibe in the city also.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if things start to get rough, people are going to start to get a little more loosey-goosey.
Yeah. And Clayton said it's all about rent.
Oh,
he said
absolutely.
the artists used to be able to... Artists usually are so overlooked in the society because the people are out there hustling on the front end of business and industrialization, and artists are just sort of on the fringe, so they usually have to go, and sometimes they have to have large spaces. So they would go to a place where the rents were low, where they could live.
Well, right now there's Bushwick in Brooklyn.
All right, I've heard tell.
Yeah, Bushwick has more or less reasonable rents for the young kids that are emerging artists. But in Manhattan, I don't think I can think of one little spot in Manhattan where
they have their West Beth over on the West Village. They got that thing set aside for the artists. They have a place up on the 43rd and 10th.
But the rents, everything is $2,500, $3,500. I mean, everything is very expensive.
Yeah, it's gotten out of sight unless you're pulling down a very large salary, which a lot of the people aren't. And it's bifurcating the society into some who have a good deal of wealth and so on, and then the great number of people who just can't make it. Even if you try to get 5 jobs, you couldn't do it because the wages are being depressed and it's not there. And the artists usually are busy doing something important like painting rather than accounting.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
And it's a problem, right?
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, art is what makes this life worth living.
They had a thing one time about the people that lived in the history of mankind. They have the great figures from Rome or from Greece, and the ones we remember are not the business guys.
Oh.
It's the artists. It's the artists that live, and yet we pay so little attention to it. It's better in Europe, I understand. Yeah. Stanislaus, your cousin, I guess, is here. He's going to show a couple of the items you have. That in Europe, there's more attention given to the arts through public recognition and income.
It's a little more social. Canada's, it seems like there's more of a social thing going on in Europe for the artists, but they have a hard time there too because it's all about bucks. You know, it's all about money. Euros, euros.
You got that thing happen to you, didn't you?
Yeah. We have a clip from.
We do have a clip we're going to show, right?
Yeah.
So we'll save that for a little bit. Anyway, you've got your place. You're down in the Lower East Side, and your place is, I think, widely known. Billy's Antiques and Props, and your life story is really interesting. But you have some items also that you brought with you today that are part of your wares there.
Yes.
And I think Stanislaus is in from France just a couple of days.
Yes,
He's a cousin of yours.
Yes.
And he is at Sotheby's. He's going to bring out an item or two.
Yes.
We have three items we might show. And maybe, wait 1 minute, Stanislaus, but he's ready to bring it out. So maybe the first item is something we'll bring out and let people see like they would at Sotheby's, and we could have an auction right here on the air, maybe.
Yes.
But I don't think that's possible because it's not too wet.
I chose items that are indicative of Billy's Antiques and Props.
Okay.
I mean, you know, I love fine paintings that you see at Sotheby's, and I love beautiful, expensive antiques. But Billy's Antiques and Props is a tent on the Bowery, so I try to keep it in that feeling, in that realm. I mean, you cannot put a $30,000 painting at Billy's Antiques and Props.
Right. But you can put.
But you could put a $1,000 painting.
Okay, or things that are unique and also very interesting, and in a sense iconic, and something that people would be interested in. Yeah. So you brought 3 things, right? What did you bring? And maybe we'll let Stanislaus bring one out.
The first piece is.
Well, the first piece is
we'll bring the first one out.
Okay, this is and Stanislaus. Come in, Stanislaus, and let's see if we can get a sight. This is the first piece. You want to turn it around, I would think. Hello, Stanislaus. Welcome in from Paris and so forth.
So we ought to get a shot. My good cousin from France. He's a good kid.
Let's see if we can't get a shot of him. Don't leave quite so soon, Stanislaus. Now, try and come down. There you go. Now, let's see if we can't get a shot on him. Can you get a shot on number 2? Let's see. This is Stanislaus. He's a television producer in Paris, and he's brought the first item here, and it looks like a baby in a bottle.
Yes.
Is that what you call this item?
Yes. It is pickled punk.
Pickled punk.
It's a.
Okay, Stanislaus, you can go off now, and then he's going to talk. And if we were at the Sotheby's, we'd be doing the hammer over the gavel.
Merci, mon petit cousin.
Yeah, merci.
Merci.
He's got other items, but talk to this.
All right, so this is from the 1920s, and what it is, it's a full-term baby in a jar that was born dead and deformed, and it's called Lion Boy. And the reason it's called Lion Boy, I don't know if you could see, is that the base of the skull is growing from the center of the back, so it creates a mane-type effect, so they would call it Lion Boy. And the reason this piece is important is there was a gentleman called Captain Boswell, and he was this crazy character, carny-type character, and he would take babies that were hideously deformed, put them in formaldehyde, and then put a banner and say, "Come see Lion Boy, 5 cents." So the people would come and they would look at Lion Boy.
It was a carny thing.
It was a carny thing, and this is from a carny. And by the 1960s, Boswell was kind of becoming politically incorrect to do this kind of thing. So these disappeared into collections.
I see.
But and also medically, the advance in medicine made it so hard, you know, you couldn't have, if a baby was born with 2 heads, they would abort it way before it was full term.
I see.
This size.
Yeah, right. They couldn't have done that with ease in the past.
So this piece is quite unique, and
it's there at your shop.
Yes, and it's not the kind of piece you'd find at Crate and Barrel.
No, not exactly.
Right?
Yeah, but you might find it at Billy's. Yeah, right. And where did you find it, and how did you come to have it?
This came from a collector who collects this kind of things. And one day he said, "Dude, I need money." So I said, "Sure, I'd love to have one of those pieces." And
you made a deal. Yeah, okay.
And it's it's not really for sale. It is and it isn't. I mean, you know, it's something very dear to my heart.
So you keep it there at the Billy's? This is on display at Billy's?
It is occasionally.
Or is it in the back room in a vault or something?
Well, it kind of wanders around the store.
I see.
At night, it kind of crawls around the store.
Interesting, around Halloween time.
Yes. Yeah. It's quite horrifying, but it's beautiful at the same time. Okay. And one thing, I mean, a lot of people look at this and say, "Oh my God, it's horrendous."
Yeah, right.
But a lot of big painters and famous painters of the 19th and 18th century would have things like this in their studio because they would draw it, and it was part of you know.
Yeah.
It's a horrible side of life, but you have to show both sides of life.
They do.
The dark,
you know, the
and the
scream,
light. Right. The dark and the light. That's how I try to work my store. It's like, yes, there are things that make you feel very uncomfortable in the store, but there are beautiful things too. Yeah. And it gives you both sides. You go to Crate and Barrel, and you know, it's all flowers and nicely arranged things and smiling people. And, you know, you're just like, it's not real.
What about the underside? A lot of art, does it Lautrec and all this kind of stuff? There's a lot of things that's showing, you know, the other side of life, and you've got to fix on that. Well, this thing's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so Stanislaus, Maybe Stanislaus could. No, I think you better come and take this
Yeah, you
first.
better take this first.
We want to treat that very carefully because you don't trip. Don't
He's
fall.
dead.
Yeah. Okay, now take Stanislaus. We'll take that.
Bye,
and
Lion.
then he has that's
Bye,
very
Lion boy.
interesting. Thanks for bringing it
Yeah,
in.
it's cool.
Quite a. And then we have another thing here. He's going to bring another thing. Stanislaus has another item, and this is the real McCoy.
Yeah, this
And
is a
this
little more
is-
decorative.
Now we got to show it
Here, I'll
in
show
its
it.
full
I'll show-
splendor, so that it can
There
be
we go.
there.
Thank you, Stan.
Now, if you can
Okay.
give him a chance to come in on it. Yeah.
There
This
we go.
is an honest-to-God
Now, this is a
helmet.
Yep, this is a French dragoon helmet from 1870.
Ah, okay.
And what's so nice about it, I don't know if you can see it, at the tip of the head here is the Medusa head. See the Medusa head?
Yeah, they're
right
coming
there?
in on it there. So
Yeah, it's so beautiful. The quality
yeah.
it's just absolutely gorgeous.
Uh-huh. And
And-
this would have been at the Versailles or something? Or
Well, this would be, no, this is dragoon. This was
Oh,
a
dragoon.
normal
Yeah.
helmet that the troops would wear and charge into battle.
With this? With the hair
Up
hanging
until
down?
1914.
No kidding.
Now the
Really?
horsehair, you see the horsehair?
Yeah.
That it's very decorative and beautiful, but it has a
A function?
total function.
Yeah.
And the function is, if you hit someone with a saber here,
Yeah.
it will not cut off their head.
Really?
It'll knock them down, and maybe knock them out, but a saber cannot slice through loose horsehair like
No
this, no matter
fooling.
how sharp.
Is that
And
right?
yes, and that's the story behind the horsehair.
Why didn't they have horsehair hanging down all over their body? They could be like a great big orangutan or something.
Well,
yeah.
yeah, but they were a little more dashing then.
Okay, yeah, right.
Would you like
okay.
to try it on?
No, well,
Let's
I
try it on.
would
Let's
if
hear.
you
Let me
think
ha-
if it's good. If it
Here, don't move.
is the
There you go.
Yeah.
There.
Okay, could we get it in? Can you get a sight?
Oh, it's fabulous.
How does it look?
Oh, I love
Side
it.
view?
Yep, look at the big plume.
Look
I mean,
at
it looks
those
very
locks.
elegant, very cool.
Monsieur. Charge. Yeah, that's really nice,
And,
man.
it's French.
I didn't. And
It's
you
just
could,
great.
and this is at your shop.
Yeah, that's at my shop.
And this is a dragoon. This is
Yes,
18
dragoon.
19th century.
19th century, late 19th century, 1870
That's
to be exact.
beautiful. Where would there? Boy, it does hang down. That's real horsehair.
Oh yeah. Can
Boy,
you
that's
feel
a
it?
really. That's a
And then what
beautiful thing.
certain soldiers
And what
did.
does this plume?
Oh, that's a
indicate?
plume. That would
That's
be
a
for
particular
parade.
battalion or something.
But in
yeah.
battle, they would take the plume out.
Yeah, right.
And-
Okay. I see. Right. Okay.
You know, it's
But that's
just
for a dress parade.
it's
yeah.
gorgeous. But what some soldiers did is they would braid their
Dreadlocks?
their girlfriend's hair into the soldiers, into
Oh,
the
I
horsehair,
see.
as a good luck thing.
That's a good luck, and it would be a way to
So-
wish them well as they
I mean,
went
I
off
guess
to
it's when
fight.
the French like to fight, because now everybody says, "Oh, but
That's beautiful.
French were pretty tough back then."
Well, maybe we should show that to Stanislaus then, and then he could be careful.
Here, take this.
Well, okay, and now we have a beautiful thing.
Okay, so now I didn't want everything to be gloom and doom.
Yeah,
you know.
right, and masculine. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
And this, I don't know if you can get a.
They'll come into it. Give
Oh,
it
okay,
time. Give
yeah.
it time. They'll get one of the cameras and come in tight. This is a beautiful piece of what would you porcelain?
Yes, it's porcelain.
Uh huh. Mm-hmm.
And
it's a beautiful art form. Yeah.
it's a beautiful piece, and it's from the 1920s, and it's an angel.
Uh huh.
And it's French.
Mm-hmm.
And the way when I buy something like this, I look for which was in art school, which I learned, was
Yeah.
the quality of the hands, the face, the figurative quality of the sculpture.
Yeah. Did
And if-
you do figurative art?
Oh, yeah.
You
yeah,
did.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, if you look at this thing, the hands are just amazing on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the face is very delicate, and it's just a beautiful gilded and porcelain angel
It's beautiful. It
from the
is indeed.
1920s.
And where would you find these kind of things?
I mean, I search everywhere. I go into flea markets. I go to apartments.
It must be interesting to have that state of, if I may, it
Yeah.
might be interesting to have that sense of design and eye and everything, and then be searching out items among many items
Yeah.
and finding them.
Well, there's three joys.
That's like a treasure hunt.
Exactly.
State. I mean, if you're looking for a treasure, eureka.
Yeah.
It must be a very satisfying kind of way to lead a life, to be able to be looking for something. If you were doing that intellectually, to find E equals MC squared, it would be an eureka moment when
Right.
you find. Do you understand what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah, absolutely.
More than just going down the aisles at Kmart. Do you understand what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
absolutely.
It's
I mean-
more interesting than the bourgeois or the normal It just occurred to me. It must be very exciting to go on the hunt for these things.
Well, there's okay, it's exciting to go on the hunt.
Yeah.
To find the piece is very exciting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then once you have the piece, you have to put a monetary value on it, and you have to sell the piece.
So you
that's
get the wheeler-dealer.
Right. Well, then you know, say something like this. I would say this is worth about $450.
Wow. Okay. Don't drop it.
No, I won't. It's mint. There's no chips. And I'd say, I forget what I paid, but just say I paid $100 for it. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah,
I've had it for a while. This was at my house, and you sell it for $450. You get that satisfaction of having found it, but also having sold it at a price that the market could bear.
Do you think you could get the same price for getting an inside deal on some commodity like orange juice or something and make the same kind of
Go
a
to
deal?
jail,
Do you
right?
understand what?
Yeah.
No, you don't understand what I'm saying. Is that you find it and you make a deal. You make a deal, you get a quarter point better than the other guy, and you get the contract and you get the account, and those kind of exciting kind of things about discovery would it be the same as being concerned with? You think it is in the so it's the same.
That
Excitement of consciousness in the business world. You did business and that of working commodities or something.
And it's also
I'm not
very
sure that it is. I think this is of a different order.
Well, I mean, I'm a visual person. I love.
You're also dealing with the works of civilization,
right? And there is one
rather
difference.
Than the mundane thing like orange juice.
Yes, there is a
or
huge
pork
difference.
Bellies.
Okay, if you have pork bellies, you see it on a piece of paper.
Yeah,
how
it's
many
all
shares?
just abstract numbers.
Say I can't sell this. I've overpaid and I can't sell it, and it's just sitting
there. That's what
at
I was going to ask you. What
the
happens? You paid $100 and you can't get but $40 for it.
Right, but at least I can look at it and enjoy it.
Okay, you can because you can
it's
enjoy
something.
And you can enjoy art. To
Yes.
be able to enjoy art like enjoying a beautifully piece of music.
Absolutely.
Or anything of the arts are of a different order than the mundane things that come mostly out of the goods and services of the economic order, and yet we put all of our attention on the economic and political order, and we give such short shrift to the culture. It's just to buy, something might come from the table of the investment banking barons who run everything, that could maybe get a little something for an artist who's putting.
I understand.
That's made of gentrification theme and so.
Yeah, well, that's what's happening.
These are beautiful objects that you have.
Nice?
I mean, and you have a whole tent full of these.
Yes, but I had
tent.
to bring. I couldn't bring the whole tent here.
No, you couldn't bring. Couldn't fold your tent and bring it along. Yeah. Anyway, but and don't take it ever from where it is because it's in a beautiful location.
That all depends on my landlord.
Do you think the Bowery will rise again? If Bowery being a term for the Lower East Side or the artistic, because it was an artistic place when Allen was there and all the. It was known as being an artistic.
I think it's done.
Really, that's very sad.
Yeah, but there's other places. I mean, every place has its.
And then and it moves. The art scene moves. Like if you have galleries, theater, art, music, that kind of thing, it moves. It's like a movable feast. It goes. It was in Soho.
Yeah.
Soho now, I understand, is all yuppie-fied. Somehow the yuppies move in with the money. The bankers come in. There's good things there. They want to be associated with the artists because it's got cachet to be able to be with the artists and that sort of thing. And then they build these fancy Whole Food places and all that kind of stuff and drive the artists out because the rents become so high.
So the artists actually start the whole thing where they make it trendy in front.
Right.
Well, not trendy, but just interesting. And
Trendy's too.
Yeah, no, they don't make it trendy. Yeah.
It gets to be trendy.
Yes,
and
that's
the
wrong
people
term.
want to be with the artists because I think people are interested in the artists because the artists are making things that are inherently interesting rather than the mundane give and take of the business world.
Yeah, absolutely.
It seems that way to me. Is that a prejudicial view on our part because the works of civilization seem so important? But then it goes, and so it went to Soho for a while, then it went to Chelsea, and then the real estate people come in and they put the rents up, so you can't afford to have a gallery or anything like that. So then it moves around, the art scene. Is it like that, I guess, in France and
Well, in France, France up until the 1920s was the hub of art, and then by then it started to move towards New York, and New York was the hub of
we had the Harlem Renaissance, we had the writers.
And now you ask yourself, where is the new center of art?
Well, that's what I do. I still think of New York. I mean, I would, if somebody said New York, I would have thought the Lower East Side. Now you're telling me that they've even polluted that with all of their rent and their it's impossible
no
for the
artist
artists
at current rates could live on the Lower East Side. It's
or
impossible.
Anywhere in Manhattan.
Or anywhere in Manhattan.
Or maybe anywhere in New York. They just drives them out.
Well, no, like Bushwick, like I said, is not a bad place.
So if you get into the boroughs a little bit, it gets a little bit easier.
But it's further. It's not, it's not Manhattan. I think it's becoming a giant gated community.
A giant gated community.
Manhattan is.
Do you think it's temporary, let's say from Reagan on or something with the supply side economics? Because the template gets set by that, and you come along and they just, in 1970, and then you get 1980, and then the politics change.
Well, I think
and they've been in control, the supply side guys, and the investment banking and all that. And
well, I think economics, like right now, everybody's saying, well, real estate is starting to go down, and there's a lot of foreclosures, and the economic times that are coming are not going to be that great. So then, for someone in my business, or even for artists, when things start to get mixed up like that, and the pot starts brewing, then great art does come out of suffering.
You think, that's it. Great art does come out of suffering.
I mean, if artists don't suffer, I mean, they create beautiful decorative things, but when they suffer,
that's when you get the real breakthrough.
The good stuff comes through.
You think Will Shakespeare was suffering in his life and everything? Suffering economically? For want of bread? Maybe. I mean, we have the idea of the artist in the garret where they really suffer, and then out of the angst comes creative inspiration, really new inspiration.
Yeah, it's out of the angst. It's out of the angst.
Yeah, and
I think that's why Clayton's work is so important, because it came out of angst.
Yeah. Well, so did a lot. Pond, I think it was, who said the artists are the real artists. There are a lot of wannabe artists. Or people who want to be, but then we have certain people like Michelangelo was really good with a hammer and chisel, wasn't he?
Great.
Of a certain kind of quality, and they have the greats, and that kind of stuff. But he said that the artists are the antenna of the race, that Picasso or Cubism presaged quantum mechanic physics that were coming, and they were in touch with the leading edge. They're like the antenna of the race.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something to be said for that?
Yes, I believe in that. Absolutely.
You do. Okay, so then we ought to be paying more attention to the arts. Can we set up sociologically or politically a context that encourages the arts, or do the arts have to come out of angst by our not setting up a system? Is there a thing that you have to make the world terrible so that the artists can get at the angst to get the creative breakthroughs?
Look at the art of that preceded the Third Reich.
Yeah, in
George
Weimar.
Groth's, the Weimar, and that Weimar that was flourished with great art. And then bingo, the Nazis came in and they started doing these very kind of classical art. It was run by the state. Hitler was totally into art, but he was just in it for the wrong reasons.
Okay, well, it's tricky anyway how we're going to establish a society in that. It's a question. I wonder if we could ever get a situation where if we didn't have the angst, and the angst comes where there can be man-lady thing, and there can be all kinds of things that creates angst and everything. But a lot of the angst comes from economics, does it not? I think we don't have a right economic ordering of things, and it's oppressive in a certain sense. Do you think if ever we had a situation where things were organized right, and everybody had, let's say, a comfortable way of being able to do whatever it is they want to do? Well, you think they would. You don't think they would...
paint junkies?
You know, the Balinese have a saying. They say, we have no art. We do everything as well as possible.
Well, that's
so somebody making a beautiful meal, or somebody doing gardening, or somebody doing something,
ideal.
Like that.
Yeah.
Is idealism idealistic? Is it hopelessly? This is shaking. I don't like the idea of this piece of work shaking. Is it idealism is something for just the youth, and it has no application to the hard realities of the universe, the way the physics of the universe is set up or something? Or do you think idealism is something that is still worthy of consideration, not only by the youth, but by some of our leaders?
It's like utopia. I mean, it doesn't...
Utopian thinking?
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
It's not good to think
fantasy.
about... It's fantasy, you think, right? You don't think they've just sold us a bill of goods?
If you're gonna shine your shoes, you should try to do the best job possible.
Right. Or make a stew, or make a
or anything.
What's that soup you make in France? Bouillabaisse.
Bolognese,
yeah, and that kind of food. The French.
No.
What was that?
Snowball. He's funny.
Snowball. No, he's
a
making jokes.
Wise guy, French guy.
French guy. That's all we need. Another wise-ass Frenchman, right? That's all we need here. Everything. But anyway, thanks for that.
He's a good kid.
But I mean, it's that's really good. But I mean, it's just that they know from food, right? English are terrible. I'm from England. Our English background is terrible. They boil steak.
Oh, they have pig knuckles.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful. And then
Blood
they went
pudding.
off and built an empire. But the French know from food.
Oh, the French.
Lots of butter.
You got to hand it to the French.
Yeah.
I think, personally.
And that's an art form, no?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, that's art. That's really
It's
art.
very fine.
Okay.
The French are #1 in food as far as I'm concerned.
But you think utopian or idealistic thinking is hopelessly naive or something? We got Obama running now. He's going to make some changes. He said we're going to make changes. In the hardcore reality, people will say, don't be talking about how things are so good. You're a dreamer. Were you ever called a dreamer when you were young and so forth?
No, because I mean, like I said, because of economic situation, conditions with my family and my mother, they always made me realize that you better work to get money.
Oh.
There was no idealized thinking.
Well, what happens if we get to where we don't have to work?
What
if people didn't have to work? If you've got, let's just say, 50,000 shares of AT&T or
then
just
you're a rich
technology,
kid.
And you're comfortable. You can do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And let's suppose we had it like that for everybody.
Would
it be a
boring.
hopelessly bad thing for everybody to be able to be interdirected to do what it is they want to do, not required to do anything that somebody else tells them they have to do, like a military regime the way it is now? It's all wage slavery. In order to, and everything is, you've got to keep your nose to the grindstone.
Yeah.
You don't think we could have a liberated order where people would be able to do what they want? Or do you think human nature would, you think it would be boring?
It would be like having a world of just good-looking people.
You think that? Well, there
goes
this that dream. I guess I better stop dreaming about that. You think that, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. We could talk about a lot of things.
I have a unique view. No,
you must not let me talk so much.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Interrupt. Cut me off because I'm just off on.
At Billy's Antiques.
Yes, Billy's Antiques. Let's do it. Yes,
we see the whole world.
Yeah.
Go by.
Okay.
And I think it's important we should run the commercial.
Yes,
which is 30
absolutely.
seconds.
Let's run the commercial. What do we have? We got a
the
DVD.
First one. Yes. This is a commercial of Billy's Antiques that we did on our own.
Okay, you've put together a kind of spot, right?
Yeah,
about
we put
Billy's.
a spot. Yes.
Okay, we're talking with Billy Leroy of Billy's Antiques here in New York, a great place, and let's see if we can run that DVD now. I guess it's about a minute.
Billy's Antiques and Props, we got everything! Up your mind. Welcome to Billy's Antiques and Props. We're on the Murray in New City. We got some fantastic stuff here, like these antique dresses. And this weird taxidermy. Ooh. And we have tribal art from all over the world. It can get pretty spooky around here.
Peter!
Yikes!
Here, you gotta get to work. Let's go, we gotta get to work.
Okay, that was it. It's like a nice. That was a nice spot. That was interesting. You had that thing. And that's really good, and it's that's an interesting thing. I think we have another one that has something to do with capture, but we also have a book. You brought in a book.
I thought that this was a very interesting book.
Stanislaus reminded us of that.
Yes.
Thank goodness. We couldn't pull this off without Stanislaus.
Now this is a
Leroy?
Leroy.
Exactly. Leroy.
And what this book is, just a book about New York, and I just found this in a bookshop.
Yeah, right.
And the thing that gave me kind of goosebumps about this.
Yeah, I'm going to hold it up.
Yeah.
I'll hold it up here, Willie, and I'll try and make it. You can come in on it, and it's a picture of. You talk to it. You can just talk to it.
Okay, so.
But it'll take.
What's remarkable about this? What's remarkable about this engraving that came from the Harper's Weekly from 1881?
It's the one over here.
Yeah, it's this one right here.
That's what you want to come in on. Okay.
Now. Yeah, we can see it pretty clearly.
Okay,
there.
I can't because
it
my
looks,
glass.
Yeah, it looks exactly like the entrance of the store.
Yeah, it does. Man, I was there the other night. Yeah,
it has the paintings. It's just even the same dimensions.
Uh-huh.
And the thing that gave me goosebumps when I saw this, it says Night Scene on the Bowery, 1881, in Harper's Weekly.
I'll be darned.
So that's what I got the idea of being the gatekeeper of the old Bowery. It was just
ye old Bowery. We should say ye old Bowery.
Of ye old Bowery.
Yes, right.
But that's fun.
Yeah, that's nice. That's another.
That's fun. That's just a fun thing.
Yeah, that's good. And it's another thing, like going in the way. It must be interesting to be like a treasure chest, a treasure hunt.
Yes.
When you're going out in these places to find something like this, or the book, or you find it in the book, and finding the unexpected, and having a mind open to the unexpected and the new and the design and everything. That's really an important part of consciousness, other than all the concentration upon.
Well, I think
sterile places where people live and do not have any sense of design or art or anything in their life, only a bunch of figures in their head, which is, I'm afraid that's what...
I think we're going towards that.
You said that we can't have a utopian thing where people, because then it would be dull or something.
Right.
I don't know. It seems to me it might make it possible for people to be concerned with the things that really matter if we ever got the economics right. We don't have the economics right or something.
Well, I mean,
are you optimistic for the human prospect in an age where we now are told by the modeling that the weapon systems that we've been developing through technological extension apparently can't test it? If they were to be unleashed, are now species lethal?
Oh, of course.
Have you realized that
No,
after 200,000 years of our being?
Yeah, that we can wipe out the entire...
Do you think there's something special about this moment in the evolution of consciousness?
Then you have to ask yourself, is there a divine power or not?
Okay.
Now, which can change everything. And whether you believe in God or don't you. I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about God. Something bigger than man.
That's talking design in a big sense of design. Yes. Like a whole universe or multi-universe.
I mean, that's our only hope, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, what is man? I mean, we're just screwing things up.
You think we are screwing things up, a lot of things, and the vision... I mean, what is it signaling when you get to the point where we're in that stage? After 200,000 years, we've been here out of Africa. We've been hitting each other on the head.
Yep.
And the political leaders, our spiritual leaders, tell us, take care of the least among you, have the thing. Dickens had terrible conditions, awful. William Blake.
Oh, God. William Blake, there's a great artist.
Wonderful poetry.
Oh,
and
poetry
singing,
and painter,
and the awfulness of it. And do we have to have the awfulness? Because the awfulness now has a quality that is species lethal. Yeah. You know, we've had it's like pregnancy. You're in the womb and you're graduate, and you can.
Well, there you go. That's like Clayton's work.
Yeah.
It shows the junkies, the prostitutes, the normal people. You know, the old Jewish society, and it shows the artists, of course. And he really shows the stuff that we don't want to see, and that society's been completely erased.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Now, we have another clip, right?
Yes.
We got just time. We got about 10 minutes left, so we can get that in. So what is the clip that we're going to show, the other clip? That had to do with captured?
Yes. It's the captured clip.
Okay, that's from the film that has been put together by very creative filmmakers about Clayton and his work. He's an archivist, photographer, videographer, over 1 million photographs of the people that have he's archived over the ages, including the Thompson Square riots that happened when they gentrified
and we saw that the other night.
And we saw the film, very well done.
And the important thing about this little clip is this movie Captured is that it's been rejected by all 3 major film festivals. Tribeca, Toronto, and Sundance have said this is not worthy. Okay. And then the youth in New York City seems to be, there's more and more of an audience every time we show this. It's always sold out.
Well, yeah, and also the technology is coming available where youth can make on their laptop a film, absolutely. And they've got the ability to do Final Cut and this kind of thing. It was not available. You had to do Steamback, you had to go all this, you had to be high-dot. Anyway, so it's becoming available. So we're going to have a lot of venues for showing it. And I want to just say, as an aside, I sent it to Clayton. There's a film that was on Channel 13. It was called The Cult of Sincerity. 3 young fellows who put together his, really well done, and they're putting it, they're premiering it on YouTube.
Oh wow!
Which is a free thing, and
it becomes
YouTube
free. Is great. I mean, it's like.
So that may be another way of distribution. Mr. Mayer had to have screens everywhere to put his movies in the 30s.
Yeah.
But now you can put it available to the whole wide world. and there's people got the ability to make films, and filmmaking might be a way for there to be a lot of creative output about the human condition.
My daughter is 16, and she made a great little movie.
There you go.
And she's being taught Final Cut Pro, and she's able to really make great little movies.
That's good that there's all that mode of communication.
See, that's the good, with modern stuff, that's fantastic.
Yeah, maybe despite all our bungling,
right.
The young people will come along and save the day. And it will be through movies like Captured. Okay, we're talking with Leroy,
Billy
Leroy, and we're going to show that film. So let's show that second film. I guess it's about a minute or so, and it's called Captured, about celebrating the work of a great archivist and Clayton Patterson here in New York City.
There we go.
And skills for movie making. So let's show that now. Then there we go. Okay, let's run it, please, with the sound.
That's a street shot. He started to show me mountains of photographs. After talking for a while, he goes, you know, Billy, if I die, this stuff goes on the sidewalk. And being an antique dealer, I really could identify with that, because when I see something good, that's my business. Did you steal these?
You have your name?
Clayton's work has to be preserved. He's documenting what's happening, and it's important.
Well, I think the Lower East Side is leaving me. Lower East Side as a neighborhood and as a community is leaving.
Wow.
Okay, and it could bring. Oh, all right, so that's just a little clip of the film. The film's about an hour and a half. Beautifully
and it's done by Dan Levin, Benjamin Solomon, and Jennifer First, who are these young guys that are really have their finger on the pulse in terms of they approach Clayton. At the same time, I approach Clayton to make his work known.
Yeah, and to try to save it from going into the dumpster.
Exactly what he told me. He looked at me straight in the face and he goes, Billy, come on, you grew up on the Upper East Side, you dress well, come on, get your stuff together. I mean, I'm sleeved with tattoos and you know all that stuff. But he said, come on, forget about the tattoos and the motorcycle look. Put on a blazer and let's.
You look you're very well turned out, as we say. Yeah, right.
So I went into a gallery, the Feigen, Kinstelu and Feigen Gallery in Chelsea, and I showed them the work. And they gave Clayton a show within minutes.
From his photographs or the video or what? He's done video?
From his photographs.
From his
I brought his photographs. I went through about 1,000 photographs. I went to Kinko's, I blew them up, and I marched right into this gallery.
To get a show for him.
Right, and I had a lead from a collaborator, antique tribal arts dealer, who said you should go see these guys. And his name's Alan Steele, and he's a very, very famous tribal arts dealer. And I went in, and they saw the humanity in the work.
Yeah.
All right, and because the neighborhood has changed so much, they saw the importance of the work, and they gave him a show. We had the show exactly a year ago.
Okay. And
the boys that were doing, I call them boys, but they're young.
Yeah, well, they're all young to me.
Yeah, they're young to me too.
Yeah, I know.
They were putting together the movie, and we had our first screening right about this time, and there was maybe 60 people at the screening.
Yeah.
And then it just started to grow. We had a screening at NYU. There was about 250 people. Then we had a thing at Rooftops. And
that was
there was
very large, wasn't it?
1,500 people, including
Mayor. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, including Mayor Koch.
Mayor Koch was there, right?
And it was great to see him.
He was at the screening?
Yeah, and he gets bashed around in the movie a little bit because he was at the mayor at the time of the riots. But he's a good sport. He was like, you know, that was then. You know, I did what I could do.
That was about 86 when they had all that nonsense.
88.
88, was it? Okay.
Yeah,
right.
So then 1,500 kids. Clayton and I were stupefied. We were like, oh my God. So then Clayton and I went to Webster Hall, and we had a big night at Webster Hall. Had about 450, 500 people there, and that we filled the grand ballroom. People loved it again. And then we had the show at the New Museum, sold out again.
That's where that's where
we saw each other. And the New Museum supports this movie and Clayton's work, and I think it was very, very important.
Yeah, we need more venues. excuse me just a second, we need more venues for that kind of stuff for the show that's happening.
It took a lot of work to get there, I'll tell you.
And I think there's a lot happening in the realm of video now, because the video is becoming available in a way that it simply hasn't been as an art form.
Right.
And being able to make movies, both feature movies, documentary movies, that kind of thing, and there's distribution now. You can put things on, there's streaming.
Right.
That's coming out of the cyber developments. People are able to stream to the whole wide world. They're going to be streaming from cell phone portals.
Well, we're trying to push this movie, and it's not easy because we're dealing with corporate America. They don't want to see the junkies and the horrors. They want to see, you know, Martha Stewart's nice floral arrangement.
Well, they got that, but they got 5,000 channels that are doing that in the names of advertising all over the place where they're doing that. I mean, there's enough of that. There must be places where the real stuff will be able to become available.
Right.
And if you put something real, the word can get around.
Well, this has happened with Captured and Clayton's work.
Yeah.
And it's all, you know, it's funny because I didn't become good friends with Clayton. I mean, I knew Clayton very well, but it was because of the store. You know, the store is what kind of started the whole thing,
The store, you mean your antique store?
The antique store, Billy's Antiques and Props. It's Clayton. We became very close once I was the owner of the store. And we were able to move on and do this promotion of Clayton's work.
You're kindred spirits.
I think so.
And you both have a sense of that. He's over in Essex, you're over there.
Except he's Canadian.
Well, he's Canadian, and you're what, French? No, you're American, right?
I'm American and French.
And
I have both passports.
Well, I'm English. Oh, you have both.
Oh,
your dual passport. Okay. Well, anyway, both two very, very good souls down in the Lower East Side, and may it prosper again, and may the work you're doing help build a context where the work, the creative enterprise that has been down, artistic enterprise has been characteristic of that part of it. He captured a lot of that, and the conditions. He's put up a great deal of support for the artist down there. Everybody knows him on that side.
He's a real,
he's taken a lot of heat from the heat. From that, he had to been arrested a number of times for standing up for rights.
I mean, the other day, Clayton was in front of my store, and the cops pulled up, and they go, you know, I had my car double parked, and I ran over to run it, and the cop looked at me, he goes, is that your pal, Clayton Patterson? And I go, yeah, and he just rolled his eyes and drove away. Didn't give me a ticket, though, so there was a little bit of a respect thing there.
Yeah, I think so, because he's there, and he's got, I guess everybody in the Lower East Side, or that part of the world, I don't know how far that goes out, knows Clayton, because he's taking photos. Over 1 million photographs.
No, it's amazing. I mean, he's constantly taking photographs.
Yeah, and they're very good.
I mean, he's a true artist in that sense.
Yeah, right.
He always has the camera and click. And he captures great stuff. I mean, it's, you know, it's at that moment when he presses that button that he captures, you know, his photographic work. He's
an artist, and
he's a true artist.
It takes an artist.
And I love him. I mean, he's great.
Yeah, I do too. And Elsa. He couldn't do it without Elsa.
Elsa's the best. I mean,
and the dogs.
And the doggies.
Yeah, and it takes an artist to recognize an artist, I think. And may there be more artists, and may the Balinese saying we do everything as well as possible become increasingly characteristic of the human condition. And I don't want to give up on the idea of still being an idealist about how we've got some
I think it's
utopian ideas that might be coming into new fashion and
if you come down
existential necessity, perhaps, in the evolution of universal
You should come and work at the store for a week.
Well, I'm going to come down and hang out for sure. You can be sure. Your pleasure to have had the perceptions then of Billy Antiques and Props down on Houston and what's the cross street there? You got
Houston and Bowery, and bring cash.
Houston and Bowery. Bring good vibes. Bring good vibes and enjoy the show. Your pleasure to have his perceptions. Tune in. We're coming back again tomorrow. That's it for now. Billy and your friend Stan.